Hey, welcome to the Ready to Lose podcast, where we look at what's going on in our brains to create the health and weight loss that we want. My name's Billy Blake, and I'm a certified life and weight loss coach determined to help women love themselves all the way to their goal. It's time to start losing weight in a way that actually feels like us and creating that healthy life that we love showing up for every single day. So tell me, are you ready to lose? Let's go.
Welcome back to the Ready to Lose podcast. Today we are going to talk about a common mistake a lot of women make when they're thinking or talking about their weight loss goal. And that is using your future vision against you. A lot of people are using that goal version of themselves, that version of you that you want in the future, right? Like you want to lose weight, you imagine what it would be like. It's very easy to use that against you. It's a very easy mistake to make. And so in this episode, I'm going to walk you through why this happens and ways to use your future self for your progress, for your motivation, and for your goals to help you get there instead of being another roadblock. Because when you think about your past experiences with losing weight, and you think about a time where you self-sabotaged or you overate or you had the urge to just give up on your goal altogether, I bet at least some of the time, if not all of the time, it is because you were stressing about your progress or lack thereof. Has that ever happened to you? I know that got in my way a ton. I'm thinking it's not happening fast enough. I'm running out of time. I'm going to end up right where I always am. I'm just going to mess this up anyway. Or sometimes when things are going well, even we start arguing like, this isn't really who I am. I can't keep going with this. This isn't really me, even when I'm doing well. Have you ever said something like that? Have you said any of those at any point? Like imagine standing on the scale and it didn't move. And now you start counting down how many weeks there are until summer. Has anyone been doing that yet already? I know this is the time. There's that second surge of people at the gym. I noticed as soon as spring hit, as soon as that, like the first day of spring, all of a sudden, loads more people in the gym again. And maybe it's because you're starting to count down how many weeks or how many days there are until summer. And you're just thinking about how you felt last summer and that you don't want to be feeling that way again this year. And that's how you're going to feel again this year because you're running out of time and you can't get away fast enough from this awful image you're imagining based on past experiences. I hope I'm explaining this well, right? It's kind of like when we feel that crunch, it can feel like it's motivating, right? Like this is the time, I've got to focus. But we're doing it in a way where we're imagining the worst case. Like, oh, I've got to do something because this summer I'm going to be feeling like crap again, or I'm going to be dying in my pants because I don't feel comfortable enough to wear shorts or whatever it is. We imagine ourselves running out of time and that this awful future is coming towards us if we don't do something now. You start thinking, I've got to take it up a notch. And maybe you start restricting carbs. You start beating yourself up for wanting candy. Ugh, can't believe I did that. I can't believe I ate that. I'm so mad at myself for doing that again. And then you get the itch maybe to work out harder or longer to try and speed things up. All things that feel hard, that feel bad, and eventually you give up on. And you end up not losing weight. You end up creating from this scarcity, from this urgency, from this fear of what's going to happen, you end up creating it anyway. I do want this to be like your maybe wake-up call. If you've had the urge to go really hard because spring is here, summer is coming, I know for me, I could always think back to those moments where I would try that and I ended up creating it anyway. I wouldn't stick with it because it was so hard. In fact, I would use that as a reason to give up on myself altogether. And I would end up in that place. I end up feeling awful during the summer and thinking about how I can't ever do it. I just prove that true to myself. And we do not want that happening. I do not want that for you this year. 2026, let it be the summer that we are not doing that, okay? And the first step is being onto ourselves right now with what we're doing when we put that urgency and that now or never, or I'm running out of time on ourselves, okay? Because what you are doing in this situation is you are using your future self against you. We imagine the future that we don't want, and we try to use that as motivation, but it never freaking works. At least not long term. Like I said, I know some people who have scared themselves into doing some hard things, but in the end, it never lasts. And even if you do lose weight that way and then you're keeping it off, you aren't going to feel how you want to feel. Like, yeah, you want to lose weight, but do you want to feel stressed and anxious forever while you're doing it? So if you're doing it this way, it's like, I've got to be scared about what might happen. I've got to work hard to get away from that. When you get to that goal, you start thinking things like, I hope I don't gain it back. I hope I can keep going with this. It's never going to last, right? You're just stressing about it. You're creating this emotion that you don't want. So you can't even enjoy the results if you do it that way. But when you think about how our brains work, of course, so many of us are doing this. So this isn't like me beating you up. This is a wake-up call. This is a let's understand our brains so we can do it differently. But I also want you to know that, of course, your brain is doing this. So many of us are doing this because your primitive survival brain is looking for danger. It is looking for the enemy. But we don't have a tiger or a bear waiting outside our door anymore. So the danger that we are looking for, that your brain is looking for, has shifted to our goals and failing at those goals. We get hyper fixated on what might go wrong, how we might fail. And the brain does that to try and protect us, which in the way past, during primitive times, that actually did work. You did want to know where the bear was when you walked out of the cave, so you didn't become a snack. But for our current lives and our current evolution, where we are at as people now, the primitive brain is holding us back. Fixating on how we're going to fail at our goals is only ever going to create failing at them. And maybe you don't even get to the point of failing at them because you just give up ahead of time. It's, in a way, keeping you in the cave, avoiding the danger. We don't have to lose weight, so let's just stay where we are and self-sabotage. Side note, in case you couldn't tell, understanding how the brain works and learning to work with it is like my favorite thing. Not just for my own goals. This is what changed everything for me and my own weight loss, was understanding what the heck my brain was doing when I was craving candy, when I was eating because I was stressed out at work. But it's not just for my own goals, but teaching this to our ready-to-lose clients so they also know how to work with their brains and create healthy habits that do last, so they don't end up working so hard to try and lose weight just to end up with another summer where they feel frustrated and defeated and hopeless. Learning how to work with your brain to create those healthy habits or that healthy lifestyle is going to make that lifestyle change and really that identity shift to go after your goals and create what you want. It's going to make it way more enjoyable. So if you are interested in that, sign up for a free session to learn more about one-to-one coaching. But let me give you another example of this using our future against ourselves. I'm going to give you another example of that before we get into what to do instead. So this entire episode was actually inspired by a client call where one of our one-to-one clients was thinking about her goals, her progress, and a vacation that she has coming up in a couple of months. Vacations are like always a trigger, aren't they? You're like, oh my gosh, the time is counting down until I leave to go on this vacation. Anyway, she has this habit of snacking on chocolate during the workday when she is working from home. And she was telling me that she was starting to feel panicked every time she did this. And then during the week when she would weigh in, she would think about herself on vacation and how in the past when she was on a vacation like this, she would get frustrated with herself that she didn't do more. Isn't it always easier? Like when you're there, you're like, oh, if only I said no to chocolate all those times. She would think that though. She's like, I'm already thinking about how I'm going to wish I did more, that I didn't eat the little chocolates, and how easy it would be for me to just not do that. So she was imagining feeling that way on this vacation already. Like, oh, I'm going to be there and not have made the progress that I want. And I'm going to be so frustrated about eating this chocolate. It would be so easy to not do that. I would be feeling so much better right now if I just didn't have chocolate after lunch. Now, have you ever had someone tell you, like you stub your toe and you say, ow, I stubbed my toe. And there's always that person who says, well, why did you do that? Just don't do that. Ha, 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 ha. So funny, right? Well, that's what this client is doing to herself in a way without the ha-ha. It's like, just don't eat chocolate. So two things are happening for her. She is downplaying, right? Thinking about this future self and judging how she's showing up now. She's downplaying how hard these cravings and these urges are for her in the moment. If you've ever tried to sit through a craving, you know that it's not a walk in the park, okay? You know it's not just like, oh, I'll just decide not to have chocolate tonight. Ha ha, that solved everything. No, that is why it is work. That is why I work with people on cravings. That's why I give them that support, because it is not that simple. Anyway, so she is doing that work though. She is working through her cravings. But at the same time, she's already thinking about how it's not going to be enough and that she shouldn't be struggling with it in the first place, basically. which we know feels like crap. Like no one loves the person who says, just don't do that. Just don't stub your toe. Cool. The second thing she's doing is she is trying to plan for her vacation from what she doesn't want to happen, which almost always will sabotage you. When you think, well, I hope I don't, whatever, like I did last time, all you think about is how you're going to mess it up like last time. You are going to look for it. You're going to feel awful about it. And honestly, it's hard to come up with the solution or what you want to be doing instead, to come up with that kind of plan from that place of, I hope I don't mess it up like last time. A lot of people do this with a night out or a weekend getaway or a vacation. When I ask a client, what do you want to do on this trip? Like, what do you want to do? What's your plan? Let's start planning for this trip and how you're going to show up. Almost always, they want to start with what they don't want to do. I hope I don't go crazy with the snacks. I hope I don't eat a lot late at night after drinking. I hope I'm not tempted to get dessert at dinner. I hope I don't come back from this trip feeling so bad like I have in the past. There's not a lot of healthy habits or intentional planning going on there, right? Can you pick out an intentional plan from that? No. So stressing about failing or beating yourself up feels helpful, but it isn't. So here's what you are going to do instead, all right? The first thing we're going to do instead is plan for what you do want to have happen. When a client is getting into that, I don't want to do XYZ mode, I always interrupt them. I'm like, hold up, I don't care. Honestly, I don't care what you don't want to do. I want to know what you do want to do. So how I do that though is I'll ask them, if you came back from this dinner or came back from this weekend getaway or came back from this vacation feeling so proud about how you showed up, you had fun and showed up for your weight loss goal and your habits, you're like, oh my gosh, I did that in a way that I love. What does that look like? Immediately, you can start coming up with a plan, right? Oh, when I'm going out, I do want to have dessert. I know on vacation, I do want to have dessert. I'm going to save room. To do that, I'm going to, not do any appetizers. I'm going to pause halfway through my meal. I don't want to be snacking all day if there's snacks at the place we're staying. Okay, well, I'm going to eat off of a plate and focus on the games we're playing instead of the snacks. That's how I do want to show up. I'm going to write my plan each morning. I'm going to alternate alcoholic drinks with water or whatever it is for them. It's easy to come up with ideas. This is always going to get you closer to your goal than stressing about what could go wrong or how you're going to mess it up, how you're going to do it like last time. The second thing you want to do differently is visualize your goal, bring it closer to right now. So one of the reasons this client keeps snacking on chocolate is because she has the thought that one piece doesn't matter. It doesn't make that big of a difference. We have so much time. At the same time that she is panicking about not having enough time to lose weight before her vacation, in the moment, her brain is arguing that she does. Well, we could just do this now. Or this is what we always do. Or it doesn't really matter that much. So for her, instead of seeing the version of her at the vacation feeling frustrated or disappointed in herself, feeling that way at the beach, we are going to envision the version of her who is feeling so good and confident and proud of herself at the beach and doing that each day. What this does is it brings what you really want closer. One of the reasons cravings are so hard to deal with is because they give you a dopamine hit now. It feels good now to eat that thing or to have more. Weight loss, that will feel so good. You can imagine that's going to feel so great, but it's also so far away. So your brain immediately discounts it. It is focused on feeling good now. Weight loss is later. We will deal with that later. But as we know, these moments do add up. They do matter. And then we never address it later, or it just never comes up. We never get to that later result that we want. So by visualizing your result, the good one, you can bring it closer. We can focus on it. It's easier to remind ourselves why this does matter, and we actually don't want to choose the chocolate today because we want this other thing that's going to feel way better, that is more aligned with what our planning part of our brain actually wants. You visualize the results you do want each day, really. Like I would spend a lot of time visualizing it, imagining how that's going to feel, how awesome that's going to be, how you got there, right? Using these two steps together. So as soon as we started practicing this with this client, she was like, oh my gosh, I am feeling way more motivated each day. I have been sitting through craving so much more. It's easier to use the tools that I already have. I'm way more motivated to do that. because she is imagining the positive result that she wants. She can see it happening and she is focused on that. And then the third way that you can use your future self to help you reach your goal is to ask her for advice. So what this client was thinking, right, how she was using it against herself, was she was thinking, oh, you shouldn't be eating chocolate. And that's not necessarily wrong advice. Like, if you want to lose weight, probably eating chocolate every day when you're stressed isn't going to help, right? But a better way to think about this is from that success mindset, I got here, I stayed here, and part of that was stopping my chocolate habit. She could ask, why am I not eating chocolate after lunch anymore? What am I doing instead? Why is it easier for me to follow through with my plans or sit through urges? What am I doing at night instead of having sweets? We're going to talk about this more in next week's episode, which is kind of a weird concept that popped in my brain, but it was looking at successful people in a different way. And I am labeling it for a weight loss podcast, thin or healthy people, right? Like when we look at people like that, we're also using that in a way that's working against us, but we're going to talk about how to look at people who have what you want in a way that helps you get it too. But for right now, ask future you for advice. What are you doing differently and why? One of my favorite questions recently in coaching is I'm always asking people, they know that next habit they want to work on or the next thing they're doing differently. And I'm always asking them, why does future you like to do that? Why does she like stopping before she's full? Why does she like going for a walk after lunch instead of grabbing sweets? It is so fun to think about how good going after your goal is going to feel or why you like it. Because so often with weight loss, the main story, I feel like more than almost any other goal, the main story when it comes to weight loss and your body is like, it's painful. It's so hard. And yes, it is hard. It is definitely hard to change your habits like this, especially when it comes to food. But that is the overarching story is like, got to do hard things, got to be restricting yourself. It's going to feel awful. So we wonder why it's so hard to imagine a version of ourselves that feels good. Because you're just thinking about how hard and awful it is to be thinner, when really it's not. It is hard to do, but you like what you're doing. You do like it. A great example of this, one of our Ready to Lose clients, she loves to read. She loves reading. And so we knew for her that next area to work on with hunger cues was lunch, and that was eating without distractions. Because during her lunch, she would like to read her Kindle, okay? And she knew this, and I was like, okay, so tell me, what do you think the next thing is? Or like, let's talk through what that next level up is to keep you going towards your goal. And it was eating without distractions at lunch. She's like, oh, I know I got to do it. I have to do it. Just the language behind it. I was like, she really is dreading doing this. No wonder we haven't done it yet. But I asked her, I said, why might you like doing that? Besides weight loss, right? Because I'm sure a lot of you are like, oh, I want to eat less because I'll lose weight. But I want you to think like, why else do you like doing that? Why do you like being that person? That's another way to think about it too. So for her, she's like, well, actually, when I do have quiet time to myself, I'm more creative. My brain feels a little clearer. It's easier to focus on things after moments like that when I have time to just exist without input, without consuming. So I think that actually would feel good. And when we think about it that way, it's more motivating to do it in the moment. You think about how good it's going to feel, not just how awful it's going to be. So I hope this inspired you to stop using your future against you. There really is no benefit to imagining the worst case scenario and taking action from there. It is everything your brain is going to want to do. But what I don't want you doing is thinking that I've got to stress about losing weight, otherwise I'll stop trying. I know that is such a common story. I used to have that story, but the opposite is actually true. When you let yourself imagine how it's going to work out, it's easier to make that happen. And even more than that, it has us trying and going after the things we want. If you keep wanting to lose weight, that's not going away. Okay, so we can keep self-sabotaging to stay safe in the cave, or we can go after what we want and get closer than we ever have before, even if that means failing a few times. So until next week, remember, you've totally got this, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!
Thank you for taking time today to listen in. If this helped you at all, be sure to share it with a friend so she can stop feeling stuck and start creating the health and self-love she deserves. Or post it to social media and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping me get the message out. I am so excited to be on this journey with you. Keep showing up for you. You'll get there. Talk to you soon.